Surprise, surprise, here we find ourselves in Visual Studio again. Let's update the data model now to have it access the database to do the querying to build our initial set of items and to implement the logic we need for the details page. So come over here to the Solution Explorer, open up the main view model and put our new version in and see what we've changed. To start with, we have a local instance variable where we're going to hold the Sonnets DB data context, and in our main view model constructor, we're going to go ask the app class for the instance of the database that we created there. Also, as we did before, we're going to create our two observable collection of item view models for items and favorite items. All that remains the same. What's going to change now is the logic inside load data. So instead of looking at the data that we got from XML, which is what we did before, we're simply going to query the database for the sonnets. So the way you do queries using LINQ to SQL is you simply say var sonnets in DB equals from sonnets, variable s in DB data context.items. Remember, that was the table we defined over there in DB data context. Select s. And so that's the equivalent of select star from sonnets in the database. And now that we have that, we're going to create an observable collection of those sonnets in order to be able to iterate over them and create our item view model. And we simply then copy the properties from the sonnet objects into the item view model objects. And then we add it to the items list and again to the favorites list if it's a favorited sonnet. And that's all we need to do to load the data from the database. You can also see that add item to favorites and remove item from favorites are the same as what we used for the flat file version of Sonnets Plus, but you might notice that the update database method is missing. And that's because we're going to use the LINQ to SQL over in the details page in order to do the actual updates. We don't need to do the updates here because we're not managing the XML file anymore. So let's move on to updating the details page and fire this puppy up and see if it runs.